Judge Frank Caprio has been called many things during his remarkable life, but the title that followed him around the world was simple: the nicest judge in the world. His courtroom clips went viral, his compassionate approach touched millions, and his reputation extended far beyond Rhode Island, where he lived and worked for most of his 88 years. On August 20th, 2025, Frank Caprio passed away after a courageous battle with pancreatic cancer. Within hours, tributes began pouring in from across the globe. Rhode Island mourned as if it had lost a member of the family, while people in faraway countries who never set foot in Providence felt as though they, too, had lost someone they personally knew. Today, we focus on the final chapter of Judge Caprio's story: the days of mourning, the public tributes, and the solemn farewell during his funeral and burial. This was not just a Rhode Island event. It was a global moment of remembrance for a man whose kindness and fairness reached into homes across continents. On August 20th, 2025, the Caprio family announced that Judge Frank Caprio had passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones. He was 88 years old. The cause was pancreatic cancer, a disease he had publicly spoken about since his diagnosis in late 2023. Governor Dan McKee immediately issued a statement calling Caprio a Rhode Island treasure and ordered flags across the state to fly at half-staff. The governor emphasized that Caprio had shown the world the best side of Rhode Island, making his hometown proud. News organizations across the United States, from the Associated Press to the Washington Post, carried the announcement, but what made the moment different was how international the mourning became. Social media platforms were instantly filled with clips of his courtroom sessions, with captions like, "Rest in peace to the world's kindest judge." Fans from Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America joined in, many explaining how his videos had brought them comfort and faith in humanity. Within just hours of the announcement, Judge Frank Caprio became a trending topic worldwide. Ordinary people wrote about how his decisions in small parking ticket cases made them cry, laugh, and believe again in kindness. This immediate reaction showed just how much his influence extended beyond Providence or even America. Frank Caprio's journey to becoming one of the most beloved public figures in America began in modest circumstances. He was born on November 24, 1936, in the Federal Hill neighborhood of Providence, Rhode Island. His parents were Italian immigrants who worked hard to give their children a better life. His father, Antonio, sold fruit from a pushcart and worked as a milkman. His mother, Philomena, managed the household. From these humble beginnings, Caprio absorbed the values of compassion, respect, and fairness. He attended Providence public schools and became a standout wrestler in high school. He went on to study political science at Providence College, graduating in 1958. Afterward, he pursued a law degree at Suffolk University in Boston, graduating in 1965. Before practicing law full-time, Caprio worked as a history teacher in Providence schools. He also served as a member of the Providence City Council from 1962 to 1968. These early roles gave him first-hand knowledge of the struggles of ordinary people. In 1985, Caprio was appointed as Chief Judge of the Providence Municipal Court, a position he held for nearly 38 years. Over the decades, he gained respect not just for his fairness in applying the law, but also for the unique empathy he displayed toward defendants. He officially retired from the bench in January 2023 at the age of 86, after serving longer than any other judge in the city's history. Judge Caprio's local reputation was well established, but his fame skyrocketed because of one unlikely source: television and social media. In the early 1990s, his brother, Joseph "Joey" Caprio, began recording court sessions. What started as a local cable access program eventually grew into the nationally syndicated show, Caught in Providence. In 2018, the show reached a national television audience, and soon after, clips from the courtroom began spreading online. What made Caught in Providence different from other courtroom shows? was not drama or conflict, it was compassion. Judge Caprio became known for listening carefully to each person's story before deciding whether to enforce or waive fines. He spoke with humor, patience, and genuine interest in the lives of the people who appeared before him. Some of the most memorable cases went viral online. A father struggling to pay fines while raising young children, a senior citizen on limited income worried about parking tickets, or a mother who had fostered dozens of children. In each case, Caprio's empathy stood out. He often dismissed fines, offered reduced penalties, or simply offered words of encouragement. By the late 2010s, clips from Caught in Providence had accumulated billions of views across YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. People in countries far removed from Rhode Island felt personally inspired by this judge who proved that kindness could exist within the justice system. In December 2023, Caprio revealed that he had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, one of the most aggressive and difficult forms of cancer to treat. He began treatment and kept the public updated through occasional messages. His resilience and optimism, even in illness, inspired his supporters. In May 2024, he announced that he had completed a course of treatment and was hopeful. But in mid-2025, his health declined once more. On August 19th, just a day before his passing, Caprio recorded a heartfelt message from his hospital bed. In it, he asked his followers and fans for prayers. The video was widely shared, and many responded with messages of love and encouragement. The very next day, the news of his death arrived. For many, the contrast between his hopeful final message and his passing made the moment even more emotional. On Thursday, August 28, 2025, Rhode Island gave its people and Judge Caprio's fans a chance to say goodbye in person. His wake and public calling hours were held at the Rhode Island Convention Center in Providence. The event was open to everyone. From 3 to 7 p.m., thousands of people lined up to pay their respects. To accommodate the crowd, the state provided free parking at the Providence Place Mall and nearby facilities. The turnout was remarkable. People from every background stood together. Longtime Providence residents, officials, police officers, teachers, students, and even visitors from other countries. Some attendees had met Caprio in person, others knew him only from television or online videos. Yet all spoke of him as though he were family. One woman recalled appearing before him in court years earlier when she explained she was fostering 27 children. Caprio dismissed her ticket, telling her she had done more than enough for her community. She came to the wake to pay respects, saying she never forgot his words. The calling hours became not just a chance to honor his memory, but also a demonstration of the kind of impact he had on both individuals and the broader community. The following morning, Friday, August 29, 2025, the official funeral mass for Judge Frank Caprio took place. The service began at 10 a.m. at the Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul in Providence, one of the city's most significant religious landmarks. The mass was celebrated by Archbishop Richard Henning. Family members, close friends, state leaders, clergy, and community members filled the cathedral. The service was also broadcast live by NBC 10, allowing those who could not attend in person to watch from across the state and around the world. During the Mass, speakers highlighted Caprio's humility, his deep faith, and his lifelong dedication to service. Family members expressed gratitude for the outpouring of support. Local leaders reminded the congregation of how Caprio's style of justice had set an example for generations of judges and public servants. The atmosphere was solemn, but also uplifting, as it reflected Caprio's own belief that justice must always be tempered with mercy. Following the Mass, around 11:30 a.m., a funeral procession left the cathedral and made its way through Federal Hill, the very neighborhood where Frank Caprio was born and raised. Residents and business owners stepped outside to pay their respects as the procession passed. For many, this was the most meaningful part of the day, a final return of their neighborhood son, who had carried its values to the world stage. The procession included honorary pallbearers, among them local officials, friends, and community leaders. Well-known figures, including celebrities who had admired him, also took part in honoring him. The procession included honorary pallbearers, among them local officials, friends, and community leaders. Well-known figures, including celebrities who had admired him, also took part in honoring him. Finally, the procession concluded at St. Anne Cemetery in Cranston, Rhode Island. There, in a private burial ceremony attended by family, Caprio was laid to rest. While the burial itself was private, the sense of public mourning continued outside the cemetery gates and across social media platforms around the globe. The days surrounding Judge Caprio's funeral were filled with tributes, not only in Rhode Island but across the world. In Providence, community members shared stories of his kindness. Some recalled personal moments in his courtroom, while others remembered small interactions outside the courthouse that revealed his warmth. On social media, his videos were shared widely once again. People described how watching his courtroom clips had helped them through difficult times. Many wrote that he gave them hope that authority could be exercised with humanity. International news outlets noted how unusual it was for a local judge from a small municipal court to become such a global figure. And yet Judge Caprio had achieved just that. Not through power or wealth, but through simple kindness. Frank Caprio's legacy cannot be measured only in his years of service or the number of cases he presided over. His real legacy lies in the way he redefined what it means to be a judge. By showing compassion in small cases, he reminded the world that justice is not about punishment alone. It is about listening, understanding, and making fair decisions that take into account the human condition. In 2025, shortly before his death, Caprio published a memoir titled Compassion in Court. In it, he reflected on his life and the lessons he hoped people would carry forward. The book became part of his enduring legacy, ensuring his philosophy would live on for future generations. His family also expressed their hope that people would remember him not only as a judge, but as a man of faith, kindness, and service. His son, David Caprio, said the best way to honor his father's memory was to treat others with empathy in daily life. Across the world, fans echoed that sentiment. They promised to continue sharing his videos, telling his stories, and applying his lessons of kindness in their own lives. The story of Judge Frank Caprio is, in many ways, the story of how a humble man from Providence became a symbol of fairness and compassion far beyond his own community. From the streets of Federal Hill to the Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul, and finally to his resting place at St. Anne Cemetery, his journey was rooted in family, faith, and service. His burial in Rhode Island closed one chapter, but his influence continues to spread. In a time when the world often focuses on conflict and division, Caprio's approach reminds us that leadership can also be defined by kindness. As Rhode Island and the world said goodbye, they were not just mourning the loss of a judge. They were celebrating the life of a man who showed that even in the smallest courtroom with the simplest cases, compassion can change lives and inspire millions. Judge Frank Caprio may no longer be with us, but the lessons he shared, mercy, fairness, and humanity will continue to guide people everywhere.